In my story, first I used my conflict for the story, and it was mostly her thoughts. I said that if you drove past, you would never know, you would never understand what goes on inside the house, that there's no escape. And I said that the home is decent. It's the kind of house that if you passed, you would say it was full of nice people, that was the perfect family, but terror reigned inside the home. I thought that that engaged my reader because it was hinting towards a conflict in the book, and then it was kind of her thoughts at the moment. It wasn't really like what was happening at the time, but it was I described the house, and then it was mostly her thoughts. And then for the location of the setting, I had it being like it was kind of a part of action in the location, because it was an important event. And I said, as he burned his cigarette out on my cheek, making me yelp and feel hollow inside, I thought that that would be an important event because my story is about abuse, and that's obviously one way that somebody could abuse you. And for my characters, I had a character trait about him loving Jamie, because that's a big deal of my story, having them be best friends and then they both end up loving each other. And then for the conflict, I thought that it would be at the beginning again, where I said you would never know that there was no escape, because it's really hard for her to get out of the abuse, and so she's emphasizing that she doesn't really think that there's an escape to get out. And I thought that I glowed on my first paragraph introduction about the conflict and how it engages my reader pretty much intensely. But I thought that I could grow on more character traits, because I need to know, like my reader needs to know at least when it's abnormal for the character. That way they stop and think. And then I thought that would be for both characters, because I need to know the normal for both of them and how they're feeling.
So how are you going to add in those character traits so that we know what would be normal?
I'm going to do more of not just their thoughts, but their reality. That way they can kind of see how they live life.
What do you mean by reality?
Because most of my story is their thoughts and like dialogue, but I'm going to do more of what happens on their daily life.
Are you going to do that through just like basic narration instead of their thoughts, or adding more events in their life that we'll figure out through dialogue? Or
there will be more like dialogue of the events and like what's going on with not only the two main characters, but like the parents of both characters too.
And will you be able to embed that in the introduction so we know those things right away as a reader?
Yeah.
Thank you, Justice.